Welcome to episode 21 of the Culture and Arts Podcast. Good morning. It is the 8th. I don't even know if I should put a date on it, because then when we post it and when Chris Bangle finally gets around to getting it online in like 2 weeks or however long it takes his lazy butt. Chris, I know you listen to the Culture and Arts Podcast. Speed it up, homeboy. Here we are. Jason, good morning.
Good morning.
We have a special guest in the studio today because she wanted to give a listen and see how Dad does the Culture and Arts Podcast. Cammie, my daughter, is here in the studio with us. Cammie, say hello.
Hi.
Jason, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I'm good. I feel a little bit rushed this morning. My parents bought the kids some bunk beds, and they are going to be bringing them over, so I have to kind of help to put them together and get the kids all set up, and they're going to have so much more room for activities. You know? Are you not a Step Brothers fan?
I actually never saw that one.
Oh, man, that's such a funny one. You got to see that. The punchline, for those of you in the audience who've seen Step Brothers, you might have chuckled just now. Jason, not so much, because he's never seen the movie.
Well, Will Ferrell's just so hit or miss.
Yeah, he is hit or miss.
Yeah,
He is true. I mean, he's had some real winners, and he's had some that were just hard to watch.
Right.
Yeah, so I understand that completely. But yeah, man, I mean, what's going on in your world?
Well, I did notice this little nugget that I think you'll enjoy. The CIA Twitter feed that we're both such huge fans
The
of.
infamous CIA Twitter feed.
They spent the other day fact-checking the movie Argo.
The Ben Affleck movie?
Yes.
Why?
that I don't know. But
Again, taxpayer dollars hard at work. And we are having a visitor this morning. Good morning. How are you? Sorry, we didn't know anybody was working today. Sometimes on Saturday mornings we come in and do a 30-minute podcast. We record a little radio show because it's usually empty in here on Saturday mornings. Yeah. But, do you need to come in? Okay, this place is fantastic. Move here. It's great. Wow, I can't believe the CIA would waste money. I'm not going to edit that out. We're in my apartment complex's little movie theater studio room, and one of the office tenants was just bringing in a prospective renter, I guess. So I probably just helped her make the sale. Who knows? So what a waste of taxpayer time and money, though, resource-wise.
yeah, it started off, basically it was going to explain the difference between real versus real. That's REEL versus REAL.
Yeah.
When it comes to Argo, and it did say all involved in the operation were innovative, brave, and creative. Thank you, Ben Affleck, for making a film that reflects this. And then, it goes on to tweet, movie Argo, when the U.S. Embassy is overtaken, the 6 U.S. diplomats go right to the Canadian ambassador's residence to live for 3 months, whereas in actuality, 5 of them went to many different places until they ended up at the homes of the Canadian ambassador and department chief of mission. I just don't know how this really helps us.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Validating films and all that jazz.
Right.
I understand fact checkers for like presidential debates and that kind of thing, but not so much for Argo.
Right.
I don't know. Cammie, do you have any thoughts on the movie Argo?
No, I do not.
And why is that?
Well, because I never watched it.
Oh, okay. That makes sense to me.
That makes 3 of us, apparently.
Sorry, Ben Affleck. What else you got going on?
I thought, a good way to sort of put a cap on election season, so to speak.
Right.
I came up with a list of some of the stranger political parties that are out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. Before we get into this,
Okay.
Election Day was on the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to pick a bone with you.
Okay.
So I went into the fire station where I was supposed to vote at my, I guess, polling place, and I wrote my name in as the candidate that I wanted to win the 2nd Congressional District House seat. And you told me pretty straight up on Facebook, yeah, I didn't vote for you. Who did you vote for?
I voted Libertarian.
Oh, you voted for Jeff Peterman.
Yeah, I know he's not the most popular guy even amongst Libertarians, but I thought between my 3 choices,
Yep.
and I think I even said on Facebook, I do have a concern that if you put a write-in vote for somebody who's not actually a write-in candidate, I've heard they can dismiss your whole ballot.
I have never heard that before.
I mean, I could be wrong on that, but I thought I heard that once.
Interesting.
It's
all counted by machines nowadays, so it's hard to, I mean, when I got done with the ballot, I placed it in the little computer and it sucked it down and PC load letter and all that good stuff. And so hopefully it wasn't discounted, but I don't really care too much about the system anyway, so I guess it wouldn't bother me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's anybody who's really passionately supporting this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, but at least you didn't support like one of the big Republican, Democrat, corporate candidates.
Right.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I can go with that.
Okay.
Back to the political parties.
Okay.
I thought I was going to have to like challenge you to a steel cage match in the middle of the movie theater here.
Okay. The first one I wanted to mention is the American Vegetarian Party.
There's really a vegetarian party? They cared that much about only eating vegetables?
Yeah, it was founded in 1947. They were promoting a vegetarian lifestyle, and I think even went so far as to they came out against tobacco and alcohol and even medications.
Like Scientologists.
Right, and they would nominate candidates for president and vice president, but they never seriously pursued ballot access.
Yeah.
They've tried to revive it to various degrees of success, but their first presidential candidate was John Maxwell in 1948, and he was born in England, so he was ineligible to be president. And then their last official candidate was Simon Gold. He was their candidate in 1964, despite having died in 1963.
Interesting.
That's not a good sign for your party.
That is not a good sign for your party. So you guys heard it here on the Culture and Arts Podcast. The National Vegetarian Party tried to plant the seed of liberty, but never quite took root. Cammie, would you join the National Vegetarian Party?
No,
And why is that?
because I don't know what that is.
Fair enough. On to the next one.
The American Pirate Party.
Uh-huh.
And it's not like, aye, matey kind of pirates. They're,
Oh, it's not. Okay.
Yeah, they were founded in 2006 for, they want to reform intellectual property laws and freedom of information. They're basically like a group of...
Oh, piracy advocates.
Yeah, piracy advocates. They did actually have 3 candidates running this year. I think it's the first 3 they've ever had.
Really?
Yeah, there was 2 running for a state office in Massachusetts and 1 in Wisconsin.
Huh.
So I guess you could call that a growing movement if they're starting to get candidates out there.
Yeah, yeah. I would actually have preferred it. I mean, I'm all about, I guess, innovative ways to get things for free. However, and it's a polite way of saying it, I would have preferred it if it was like a real, like the I Matey party.
Yeah.
You know? Because I would have loved to have seen, well, one, their money's going to actually be worth something, even if it's stolen, you know, pieces of 8, probably of little more value at this point than the U.S. currency. And I would love to see a banner that says something about the National Pirate Party, because if you're not going to vote D, then you better vote R.
Okay. Then the next one on the list is...
No, not Turn the Lights Off Party.
It's the Pansexual Peace Party. They were basically founded on Wiccan practices.
Okay.
They've never actually ran a candidate. It's generally left-wing policies, and I just, make sure the witches are out there represented in politics, apparently.
Yep. And if they had been elected, maybe the Witches of Eastwick would not have been canceled on Lifetime this last week.
Yeah.
Wicked, wicked.
Okay, then there's the Youth International Party. They're known as the Yippies.
The Yippie Party.
Yeah, they were founded in 1967, and they're known largely for pulling stunts to kind of draw attention to their cause. It's mostly left-wing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a marijuana leaf on their party flag.
Okay.
And their most famous stunt was in 1968. They nominated a pig for president.
Nice.
Okay, and their stunts have also earned them the nickname of the Groucho Marxists.
The Groucho Marxists.
Yes.
Well, I never really wanted a Marxist as president, but as far as the pig candidate, I do want a president who can bring home the bacon.
There you go.
I feel like Joan Rivers on Fashion Police.
Yeah,
you know?
I set them up. You just knock them down.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, this is one I think we could all get behind. It's the Rent is Too Damn High Party.
Absolutely.
Okay. They were founded in 2005 on the principle that if we lower people's rent, that would end poverty and improve the economy, and things just, take off from there.
Price fixing.
Yeah, and they've actually fielded candidates for New York City mayor and governor, and have recently expanded into Washington, D.C.
They actually have elected candidates?
They don't have elected, but they've actually
they've
ran
run.
candidates, and I think actually gotten some on the ballot.
The rent is too damn high, party.
Because I actually found in the New York, some of the New York elections, their name of their party was too long, so they've had to shorten it. So one time they took damn out, and so it was just the rent is too high party. And then they realized if they just changed 2 to the number 2, they could keep the damn in there.
Oh, okay.
So that's how they've been going with it.
Interesting. Did you hear that, Main Street Village? The rent is too damn high. Rabble, 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 rabble.
Okay. The next one, I think this is one you'll really get into.
Okay.
Even though it's from Canada.
Aye.
It's the Canadian...
Strike one.
It's the Canadian Extreme Wrestling Party.
Nice.
Okay. And then Quentin Barboni became the party leader in '99 by, what else? He won a 12-man battle royal.
Oh, man.
Their platform is largely left-wing. They want Canada to withdraw from NATO and create a guaranteed annual income for all Canadians.
What? No, I love this. This is like watching Parliament on the BBC, because I
Yeah.
always feel like they're going to get into a 12-man battle royal.
And one of their candidates was Moondog King, who actually wrestled for WWE back in the 70s or 80s.
I'm not familiar with Moondog. That's interesting.
Neither was I. I really had to look him up, but he was their candidate for Parliament one year.
But you know what's funny? Because it would be a lot more honest to run a professional wrestler, and maybe this is an argument for Jesse Ventura, because like right now we have presidents that do babyface turns and heel turns all the time. You know, one day they're a good guy, one day they're a bad guy, one day the media loves them, one day the media demonizes them, and at least with the wrestler in action, you would assume it would be scripted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be great. You know, keep the transparency.
Okay. Here's another crazy one. This one's out of England. This is the Church of the Militant Elvis Party.
The Militant Elvis Party.
Yeah, and this was founded in 2001, and this is an exact quote from the website. To overthrow the corporate capitalist state, which turned Elvis, a man of immense talent, into a fat media joke.
Wow.
And they've actually gotten votes. They're basically a big environmental group, and they're big into protecting the rainforest. And I think there's something I had read somewhere that they kind of ironically use Elvis because he tried to get involved in some serious causes and wasn't taken seriously, so they kind of have modeled themselves after Elvis. But,
Thank you very much. Yeah. Only 2 kinds of people know Kung Fu, baby. Chinese and the King. And I'm one of those. Now I'm militant. Thank you.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. This is another satirical party, but
Achy break your heart.
out of Canada. This is the Rhinoceros Party of Canada. They existed from 63 to 93. They're most famous for making a promise not to keep their promises, which is
that's
probably the
interesting.
most honest answer you ever hear from a political group.
Yeah, no doubt.
They feel the rhino is a great political symbol because they're thick-skinned, slow-moving, dim-witted, and can move fast when in danger. Okay, and basically they kind of let people run on whatever stance they want as long as it's, satirical. And some of their more famous causes, they want to repeal the law of gravity.
Nice.
They want to include illiteracy as an official language.
Okay.
And they want to end crime by abolishing all laws.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. It's funny because Republican candidates who don't act like Republicans are often called rhinos, Republican in name only. And I didn't know that there was actually somewhere out there an actual rhino and a potential rhino candidate.
Right.
Maybe next time I run for office, it'll be under the Rhinoceros Party.
I would totally support that.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will lie to all of you as eloquently as possible, and I will even try to be humorous when I do it.
And I will promise not to keep my promises.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then this is the last one on the list, but I think you'll really get a kick out of this one. This is the Guns and Dope Party.
The Guns and Don't?
Guns and Dope.
Guns and Dope.
Yeah, this was started as a joke by author Robert Anton Wilson. His fans wanted him to run for governor of California in the recall election that Schwarzenegger won back in the day. And so he created a joke party called Guns and Dope. They have 4 basic tenets. 1, guns for those who want them, no guns for those who don't.
Okay.
Drugs for those who want them, no drugs for those who don't.
Okay.
They want to end the Tsarism and return to constitutional democracy.
Fair.
And the fourth one is equal rights for ostriches.
Huh.
That is directly on their website.
Equal rights for ostriches among other ostriches or with people?
Actually, I believe with people, because it claims that if he would become president or governor or whatever, he was going to replace a third of Congress with ostriches.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I guess if you replace them all with ostriches, they might accidentally all hit yes and pass a bill, which
This is true.
probably
have
gives
some-
us better odds than we have right now.
Right,
But,
right.
you know,
and the gridlock, potentially.
Right.
Yep.
And then I think what will really appeal to you was he's actually encouraged his party members to cast a write-in vote for themselves
Oh, okay.
for president.
Yeah.
Because you are essentially your own best president.
I like this party.
Yeah.
This is a party. I don't know. The rhinos might not be the best option. And as far as the ostriches go, I mean, at least you'll understand when they bury their heads in the sand.
Yeah.
You know.
I can give ostriches a little equal rights if it helps me move along with,
Sure. Sure. Although the right to bear arms, if we're holding equal rights, do they have arms, or do they have just like short mini wings?
I think just like mini wings. But
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it'd be a hard right to give someone who can't take advantage of it.
Right.
Huh. Maybe we'll talk about ostrich prosthetics on the government dime. And when we give them drugs, as far as alcohol goes, it has to be a super long neck bottle.
Yes.
Cammie, so if you were given the opportunity to vote for the Rhino Party, the Ostrich Party, the Guns and Dope Party,
Or the Pirate Party.
or the Pirate Party, which one would you want to vote for?
Pirate.
The Pirate Party? And why would you vote for the Pirate Party?
Well, 'cause I don't know. I just picked that one because it's the kid one.
Because it's a kid one? Because pirates are kid-friendly? Is that historically accurate?
It's because it's for kids.
Pirates are for kids. Why are pirates for kids?
Well, I don't know. Just boys like them.
Boys like pirates? True story here. One time, we went down to Florida and took a vacation. And one of the days we went down there, we took Cameron on a pirate ship, a real deal pirate ship. And it was called Captain Nemo's or Captain Nemo's Cruise. And while we were out on the ocean, they allowed the kids to paint their faces like pirates. And they gave Cammie an eye patch and a beard and a mustache and a headband. And about halfway through the cruise, she had an identity crisis because she caught her reflection in something and realized that she looked like a boy and she didn't look any more like Cammie because she had a beard on her face, and she began to hysterically cry on the ocean saying, "I don't want to be a pirate. I want to be a girl again. I want to be a girl. I don't want to be a boy." Didn't you?
Yes, but why are you talking about that? Because it's weird?
It's because you brought up the pirates, even though it's not the kind of pirates that the party's founded on.
I know, because I don't remember if it was my idea to go on that trip. Was it?
Kudos to Michael Jackson. That day, Cammie wanted to make a change, and she started with The Man in the Mirror.
And I had a fake gun the pirate gave me.
That's true. And we had a pirate dance party.
Oh, yeah.
And that was pretty interesting. I don't remember any of the songs that played, but I remember those pirates could dance.
Lady Gaga came on and we were all dancing to the music on the ship.
Lady Gaga.
Wow.
Yeah. Pup, 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 pirate face. Pup, pup, pirate face. Is that how the song goes?
No, I think it says poker face.
Oh, okay. Anything else you got for us, Jason?
The only thing I would add is, kind of a different topic. I know in the last, since our last show, Marvel's been kind of making a lot of headlines. They had the trailer for Age of Ultron come out.
Yeah.
Which
was awesome.
This is my concern. I think James Spader doing the voice of Ultron is going to be so good that Ultron, who's essentially a robot that wants to destroy all the humans, I'm worried I'm going to be rooting for him.
You're going to root for the bad guy? Because
yeah.
he's James Spader?
Yeah, because James Spader's just so good. I'm going to be like, yeah, down with humans. Bring it on.
He's rooting against himself because
Yes.
of an awesome voice.
Yes.
I'd love to have James Spader on the Culture and Arts podcast someday.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he would sound so much better on the mic than we would. But I mean, I'm just blown away. I can't wait for that movie to come out. And I guess my worry is, as good as that trailer looks, what if it's kind of like we mentioned last time with The Dark Knight? What if number 3 just can't compare because James Spader is so awesome in this?
Right.
Because they're gonna who's gonna be the villain? Probably Galactus in the last one.
The rumors are Thanos.
Thanos.
Yeah, they kind of teased him at the end of the first one, and
He was in Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
yeah,
Okay, and he looks pretty scary. He looked pretty crazy.
definitely.
But what do you think about the idea? Okay, so I keep hearing people talk about the fact that it's the death of cinema. Like, it's the golden age of TV, and cinema is like going out the door. People obviously aren't spending as many dollars at the movie theater as they used to. Some of that's because they download them at home. Some of it's because of, the on-demand, I guess, features that you can just rent a movie shortly after it comes out on DVD. There's a lot of ways to do it that are more convenient, and movie theaters are increasingly expensive. What do you think about that? Because the Marvel movies seem to really perform well.
Right.
But when you look at cinema as a whole throughout the year, there's really, maybe if 30 movies come out in the course of a year, I'm not sure what the exact number is. Could be a lot more than that. Could be less than that. I don't know. Marvel movies probably at this point are 5 of those. I don't know. And that's carrying the bulk of how much money is made at the movie theater.
Yeah, I don't think it's a sign that the movies are any less enjoyable. I just think, we're at a point where it's $13 for a ticket.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy expensive.
Yeah.
That, there's just cheaper options out there.
Yeah.
And I guess my concern is as the Marvel universe expands and the DC universe expands, and Sony's talking about expanding their Spider-Man universe, all that.
Right.
I think, between like 2016 and 2017, we're looking at like 16 superhero movies coming out, and
right.
I think 7 more the year after that. I mean, it's just going to be a point where it's like one coming out every month, and it's just...
It's true.
They
might as well like take half the budget they spend on a Marvel movie and put it into making an excellent season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something, like with amazing special effects and stuff like that. Actually bring in stars like Robert Downey Jr. and whoever else that they want to bring in from the Avengers cast, and they could make a 3-hour movie like the Avengers, or a 2-hour movie, like a whole season, and it would be sweet for fans.
Well, a rumor I just read in the last day or two was that they're talking about, with Captain America 3, they're starting this Civil War storyline. There's talk that may actually start on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. So people have to watch it.
Right.
Yeah, and I haven't watched it at all this season, so it'll be... that I'd have to go back and catch up.
Yeah, I've watched 2 episodes. I don't think it's something you have to worry too much about.
Okay.
Getting caught up. It's...
Okay. Well, that's interesting, though, that they would... I mean, and to me, that's the way that you need to do it if you want to cross-promote a show like that. WWE Network is doing things like that, where for the longest time, it seemed like there was just all this a la carte programming on the WWE Network, and it wasn't related to what was happening on Monday nights, and you only had to watch what was happening on Monday nights to get any glimpse of what the storyline was, and then watch the pay-per-views on the WWE Network, or on Comcast or DirecTV or wherever you chose to order them from. So Monday nights and pay-per-views were the only requirements to follow the story. But if they're smart and they want people to subscribe to the network and they want it to be something that's important, then they'll say, like they did last week for the first time, everybody's been saying, well, Rusev, who's this Russian villain who's been knocking out all the American wrestlers, the next step for him as a villain is probably to go after the United States title and try and conquer the U.S. belt, Logically, that just makes sense for a person in his role. So after Monday Night Raw, after the 3-hour Raw, they said, now if you tune into the WWE Network, Rusev is going to take on the U.S. title holder on the WWE Network. So it's like, oh, well, this is something I've been wanting to see, but if I want to see it, I have to go to the WWE Network. And that's kind of like what I see, Marvel doing if they're going to include Civil War storylines into the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show. They're going to say, in order to make this TV show more valuable and have more crossover appeal to the Marvel audience, we have to make the story relevant to what's happening in the films and give people a reason to check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I've read with WWE, they don't have a whole lot of strategy in place as far as making the WWE network viable, because it's one of those things where it's like, I know they've offered the pay-per-views if you subscribe, and they were kind of on the fence about doing that, because it's one of those things where, you know, if you put them on the WWE network, it makes the network more viable, but then it also hurts your pay-per-views in the end. You know, and so they really haven't had much success with a strategy as far as getting that off the ground.
Well, I was a subscriber for the first 6 months, and with the exception of the pay-per-views, you know, I watched a few shows on there just for fun. There wasn't anything else on TV, so I'd turn it on. But they need to find a way to make it relevant and, like, must-see. You know, so it's not just like, well, I'm bored, I guess I'll turn on the WWE Network.
Right.
It needs to be something where I'm going to choose WWE Network over whatever there is on television.
Right.
Even if there's something good on. So that's going to have to probably include more original programming, more things that are relevant to the storyline. If I don't watch it, maybe I'll miss something, that kind of thing. But with the exception of that, I mean, you know, I think it's about time to tip the cap already.
All right.
Who would you like to tip the cap to this week?
I'm going to stay in the Marvel Universe. Tip my cap to Chadwick Boseman, who got the part of Black Panther. And, you know, he's known for he played Jackie Robinson in 42. He played James Brown in Get On Up. And so now he's doing something significant and playing a superhero.
Very good, very good. Cammie, come here real quick. We're going to allow you to tip the cap to somebody special. I'm going to tip my cap to my daughter, Cammie, because she was a fun little guest host to have on the show, and we appreciated the depth and insight in her commentary and feedback. Who would you like to tip the cap to this week?
What were you guys talking about?
When we tip the cap to somebody, it means that we're like saying, we're giving someone a shout out. We're saying hi to somebody that we think is cool, and we're saying why. So who do you think is cool, and who do you want to give a shout out to?
I want to give a shout out to my friend London from preschool and my friend Bryn from kindergarten.
And why London and Brent?
Because they're my best friends, and Brielle, because she was my best friend too.
Does that make you seem like your choice is less relevant?
Yes.
Man, just blew every person we've tipped the cap to out of the water.
Yeah, because those are my bestest friends.
Noted. All right, and with that, we thank Cammie for being here with us today. Jason, thank
And Gala.
And Gala, and we're going to tip the cap to Gala also, and we are also totally thrown off track. And tipping the cap to you, as always. That's episode 21 of the Culture Nards Podcast. Thank you, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Butterscotch mountains, sunshine. Run your fingers up and down the obelisk in the earth, down the 33 RPMs where the primordial gives birth, or else we lie like high, you and I, in one another's rooms.